Lots of eyes watching this. Megan Fitzgerald for us in Minneapolis. Thank you so much for that. Joining us now, Brian Dunn, managing partner at the Cochran Firm in California. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Brian. Let's start with the question on the front page. Should they have Derek Chauvin testify?
Well, it's such an honor to be with you, Richard, and that is obviously the most important question that's vexing the defense right now. Everyone seems to be of the opinion that this is something that would be a bad idea, that it's something that's not going to happen. But I'm going to take a little bit of a different tack. I think that the likelihood of Chauvin testifying is going up every day because the prosecution is making gigantic strides every day with these witnesses. And a lot of times when you have to do an audible mid-trial and have someone testify, that's why it would happen,
You know, Brian, I want to ask about the two main points the defense might raise here when it's their turn. First, Eric Nelson's focus on narcotics, which you were watching. And let's listen to a part of that clip.
You reviewed the toxicology of Mr. Floyd, right?
Yes.
You'd agree that fentanyl is a respiratory depressant?
That's my understanding, yes.
That it slows breathing, resulting in lower oxygen levels?
It can, yes.
Have you certified deaths as an overdose where the level of fentanyl was similar to the level of fentanyl in Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
And again, going for one jury member here, creating doubt, right? Is this, do you think, when you're thinking of their strategy, how far they might go with this very point on narcotics?
Well, that's another great point. And I think they're going to go as far as they can go. But the issue is you've had some very compelling testimony from a lot of people who have talked about the concept of causation. And what does causation mean? It basically means that but for the actions of this particular law enforcement officer, would this man have died anyway? Would George Floyd have succumbed anyway to the effects of the fentanyl? And I think that when you start looking at the video combined with the testimony, that's a seriously uphill battle for the defense.
Let's talk about another point that was brought up quite pointedly here, Brian. That's the issue of oxygen and what the prosecution said.
I think the primary mechanism was asphyxia or low oxygen.
Mr. Floyd died from a low level of oxygen.
And what that adrenaline is going to do is it's going to ask your heart to beat faster. It's going to ask your body for more oxygen so that you can get through that altercation. And in my opinion, the law enforcement subdual restraint and the neck compression was just more than Mr. Floyd could take.
Brian, three experts, one after the other. If you're the defense, what is your ploy here? What will you do?
Well, the issue is becoming more complex because you have not one, not two, but three medical professionals that are now basically preemptively stamping out the main defense in this case, which is a medical defense. I don't think that Mr. Nelson made a lot of progress in terms of actually casting doubt on the validity of their opinions. So in terms of how they're going to approach this, they're going to have to really rely heavily on hoping that their experts are going to win this credibility battle, which is going to be crucial. That's about the most important thing that they're facing right now.
All right, some touch points for us all to watch out for in the coming week there from Brian. I also, while we got you, is the new video from Karen Nazario. If we have a second, your quick reflection on what we saw in this video here.
Well, it's about escalation, and the concept of force usually is a psychological one, and it's energy. It's about increased anxiety, and one of the things that I saw when you played that video, Rich, was you have a person in the car who's very calm. All of the energy, the negative energy, the yelling, the raising of the anxiety, that's all coming from the law enforcement officers. They're literally working themselves up into a state where it could have turned into a very different situation. And the concept of dealing with a suspect during a traffic stop, a lot of it boils down to the way you talk to the person. You saw these very same officers speaking to this lieutenant in a very calm voice later in the video. They were speaking very rationally. Had they employed that simple tone of voice during the initial encounter, we would have not even had the situation get to the point that it got.
All right, Brian. Thank you so much. Brian Dunn, managing partner of the Cochran Firm California. Thank you, sir. Look forward to talking to you again very soon. A reminder, by the way, that MSNBC Reports will take you inside the courtroom when the Chauvin trial resumes tomorrow and provide expert analysis of the most crucial testimonies. Stay with us for that. Now, a look at today's other big headlines, including new details on Donald Trump lashing out during a GOP retreat and a lengthy and profane rant at his Mar-a-Lago resort. The former